Hey everyone, welcome to episode 10 of Answers to Questions, the last one where I get to use my hands. And we have 3 great questions coming at you today. 2 came in by email and 1 on Twitter. So let's get right to it. So the first was an email that I got from Krista, and she asked, what type of app or program would you recommend to collect payments for someone starting a small business? So there's a lot of nuances to this question, so I actually responded to this email to Krista and asked, do you just need to collect payments, like send invoices and take credit cards? Do you need a website and selling your products? And so she gave me some context. Her husband's starting a new business, and she said, both, whatever you think. I'd love to hear your answer. So here's what I think. There's a little bit of a spectrum, Krista. So we start with just collecting payments, and I would recommend a tool called FreshBooks. It allows you to create invoices. You can enter the client or your customer, send the invoice, and then you can take the payment right there. You can take it with credit card using an awesome tool called Stripe, which integrates to FreshBooks, or you can use PayPal, or of course, they can just get their invoice and cut you a check and mail it to you. So I'd start with FreshBooks if you're just trying to make sure you get paid for your work. Now the next step up, if you need a little website, just something quick and easy to get started, I'd recommend Squarespace. Squarespace has an e-commerce function, so you can list your products and also collect payment right through your website, and then you can build a nice, simple, cool little website on Squarespace. And then when you're really ready to hit the big leagues, or you feel like you're gonna go for it, I'd recommend building your own website. And to do that, I would recommend WordPress. Build it on WordPress, and you can integrate Stripe, which we talked about earlier. And so just like any type of, just like when you go online to other clothes shops or small boutiques or really almost any type of e-commerce store, you can then enter your credit card and your customers can purchase. So that's kind of the spectrum. FreshBooks, Squarespace, build your own on WordPress. Hopefully that helps you, Krista. The next question came in from email from my friend Mike, and he asked, where do you go for coaching and for guidance? Everyone needs some form of coaching or guidance or something to really improve, right? And continue to get better and better. So I actually have a 4-part answer for you, Mike. So the first one is to actually find a coach. So I've done this kind of intermittently throughout the years. I've had one for a while and kind of gone on and off. I think it really is important to find someone who will push you, who you trust, and you kind of really understands your business and what you're trying to accomplish. So you can find these people in your community. You can find them online. You can email me if you have questions about how to find a coach. But the first one is to find a coach. The second one, which I think is probably the most important, is to have a peer group or some sort of accountability group to keep you accountable, right? And to make sure that you grow. So for me, it's a group of friends, a couple entrepreneurs that every Thursday we get together. We'll talk about business and talk about shop. And it's grown over the years from just like business and accountability to almost like a life group. But having friends and peers to keep you accountable is really important, and that'll make you better. The third one, I just call it coffee and beer. And basically the point is reach out to people you respect, reach out to people who you want to learn from and say, can I buy you a coffee? Can I buy you a beer? The worst thing they can say is no, right? And so find someone that you want to learn from, someone you admire, someone you respect, and just offer to buy them coffee. And I think the goal here, or the tip is, don't just say, can I pick your brain for an hour? That's a little bit harder to receive those emails and be like, okay, what are we going to talk about? I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. Say, hey, Bill, I want to ask you about financing. Can I buy you coffee? Tell them what you want to learn from them and what you expect, and I'm sure they're willing to say yes. And the worst thing they could do is just say no. And the fourth answer is easy. Read books. Read, read, read. There are a lot of ways to improve and get better for free online, through books, webinars, online classes. There's no excuses for not finding resources to continue to improve and get better. Many of them are just a simple click away, often free or cheap. So go find them today. So the third question came in from Twitter from @DWade, and it's not Dwayne Wade. I checked, don't worry. But awesome Twitter handle. I had asked today on Twitter if people had any questions for entrepreneurship, about business, or of course the Minnesota Twins. And really interesting connection here from Dan. He said, with regards to both the Twins and business, how much blame should a manager get or take for his or her employees underperforming? So what Dan's referencing is the Twins. My Minnesota Twins are terrible. And they're on pace for probably the worst season in baseball history. And so Paul Molitor, the manager, is getting a lot of heat and a lot of flack, as you can imagine. But how much of that is deserved? So in business, I would say all of it. The leader, the CEO, the manager, they're responsible for the team. They're responsible for the direction of the company, and probably the ones getting more highly compensated or paid for that. So it's on them. If someone's not performing, it's their job to make sure they improve, or worst, cut them off the team. So they're responsible for the success or the failure of the team. Now in sports, I think it's a little bit different because Paul Molitor can't really change whether or not Joe Mauer can go out there and hit a fastball or not. Now he can take him out of the lineup, but even in baseball, there's only so much of that you can do. In basketball, if someone's got a cold streak, you can put him on the bench for a while and swap out some new players. So in sports, I think Paul Molitor or the manager or the leader definitely deserves some critique and some of the heat, but more of it, I think, is on the individual and the player. Great question, Dan. So that's all we have for episode 10 of Answers to Questions. Subscribe to our channel here so you can get all of these as we come back next week for episode 11. And if you have your own question, send us a question on Twitter, on Instagram, on the Facebook page using the hashtag AQJTM. And we'll see you next week. Thanks.